Hello and welcome to another episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by the good people at Zero Tackle. And Dan, we're here on a freezing cold Tuesday night, the night before State of Origin, and Rugby League is not going wild this week because you think it's one of the worst Origin build-ups ever. Talk to me about that.
I think it's the most boring Origin build-up ever. Game 1 had a little bit of spice around Spencer Lenu, and then Queensland refused to kick to him. Game 2, up until about an hour and a half ago when we actually put this together, had no spice to the point, I didn't even know. I knew it was on, but I didn't really care it was on, and that, for a pretty big football fan, isn't saying much. In the last hour and a half, of course, a little bit of controversy has exploded in that a New South Wales former player has called a Queensland former player a grub, which is $1 million for $1 around this time of year, Terry. We used to see literal heads on grubs on the front of both newspapers in New South Wales and in Queensland. And Billy Slater's done what he's done. I don't know if you want to touch on that, but this is a boring build-up.
To tell you the honest truth, I've been so flat out with work today that I've only just stopped, and I don't know what Billy Slater's done, because I'm with you. This is boring. If it wasn't for the fact that it was State of Origin tomorrow night, I probably would have booked in a dinner to go somewhere. But in saying that, I'm not going to. I'll sit at home and watch the game. Tell me what Billy's done.
So Aaron Woods has called Billy Slater a grub.
Beautiful.
I don't know the context, but from what I've heard, and I did hear the clip, wasn't overly serious. It's the sort of garbage you and I throw at each other in a group chat every single day. Plus, this is something that's been thrown around 10,000 times in the build-up to Origin. Billy Slater was asked about it, fighting back tears, said that, pretty much said that words hurt, and has invoked the name of a former Queensland coach or referenced him and said that some people, can't handle those sorts of taunts. I didn't want to bring it up, but I'm going to. Billy Slater had to apologise for telling someone with depression to go have a cry in his bedroom. With the greatest respects to Billy Slater, I get what he was trying to do, but this is State of Origin, and I don't want to push that to the side. It's a very serious issue, and anyone who ever takes anything with anything we say, please tell us, because we're not here to offend. But this is State of Origin, and again, with the greatest respects, if you can't cop being called a grub on a platform like this, or a platform, Aaron Woods has got a much bigger platform than us, obviously.
Oh, I mean, all in good jest, like Aaron Woods wasn't, a clean skin in his career either. And I know Billy Slater's got the highlights of the feet first tackle and the karate kick flying through the air and, the 900 chicken wings that he did saving tackles and the shoulder charges and all that kind of bollocks. But yeah, like this is what you need from a New South Welshman to try and fire this series up, because as a Queenslander, it feels like we've conceded defeat and we just don't give a shit. Like that's honestly how it feels. It feels like we've named this team that we know is not going to get over the top of that New South Wales team. So instead of being in the paper with the fake injuries and the fake illnesses and us going on the front foot calling, someone else a piece of shit or Jerome Luai a grub or something like that, we've just sat back until someone's attacked us and then got on the front foot. And we've got on the front foot in a pretty negative way. I don't know if this is actually going to drum the hype up that it needs to. I think the other thing as well is that they need to take this game away from Perth. It needs to go back to Queensland, New South Wales, Queensland. It's State of Origin, not, there's no skin in it for Perth apart from the fact that they're getting a team in a couple of years. It needs to go back to the series how it was and try and bring that mental edge around there again, because it's just not doing it for anyone, Dan.
No, absolutely. What Queensland should have done was when Spencer Lenu came out and said, "You're scared to kick to me," one of their forwards, any of them should have said, "No, you blokes are scared to kick to me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to run through Spencer Lenu. I'm going to flatten him first thing. We're going to kick to him. We're going to ransack him. He's going to lose the ball and we're going to score a try." They needed something. Billy Slater needed to sit up there last night, by the time this drops, and say, "I don't care what Aaron Woods says. He lost more series than I played in." Like that. He just has to turn around and have a go at him and said, "I beat him 6-0 or 6-1, whatever the record is." and then say, Woodsy's got a media career because he couldn't hack footy. Just throw some abuse back. It doesn't even need to be serious. It can be lighthearted. Just stir something up.
And Billy Slater should have been there with his 4 premiership rings, going like that to Woodsy.
Spot on, and said, "Oi, you got bum rushed out of your childhood team and couldn't, you end up at Cronulla and turn it around on him." I'm sure Aaron Woods has got plenty to attack there, but Gordon Tallis has been sitting there all week. Billy Woodsy said this about me, and how many teams did he get kicked out of? How many Origins did you guys win in a row? Just hold up 9 fingers and be like, "Shut up, Woodsy. This has been boring, mate. I hope the game's better than the build-up because it's been absolute tripe." Speaking of absolute tripe, let's move to the Manly Sea Eagles, I say with a huge smile on my face, because screw those guys. The papers have just been chock full of reports, so we'll go through them one by one. Anthony Seibold, very much on the hot seat, despite having a massive 6-month payout on whoever, we know who did, work that contract. He's held crisis talks with players. He's dropped a few back to New South Wales Cup this weekend, one of them being a hooker he should have dropped for Jamie Humphries, if I'm being serious. Give us your thoughts on Manly before I tee off, because, boy, it's good to be in our position for once.
Can I just say that if anything and everything that Anthony Seibold has, said that he's going to do, we need to invoice him, because we've been saying that it needs to be Lehigh Hopewadi at fullback, Tommy Trbojevic in the centres. And who did they put on the wing? Did they put Kohler or did they put Garrick?
Well, no one's been named this week because they got the bye.
Oh, they got the bye. But
Jason's been dropped.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's going to be Garrick on the wing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we've said. Look, I think Manly season's been on tetherhooks ever since Daly Cherry Evans said that he was leaving, and now their best player this season in Hamoli Olokwatu is out until round 21, and I can almost guarantee that if Manly are pegged down near the bottom of the competition, he ain't going to come back, because that was a pretty nasty shoulder injury. I saw the replay of that, and I cringed a little bit. That looked like it really hurt. The how he survived surgery, like, good on him. That guy's a machine. But couldn't happen to a better club. I cry no tears over Manly finally having some suffering. These guys never won a wooden spoon. They don't know what suffering is.
Exactly right. Well, we might be reconvening at the end of the season. Now, the player, of course, Lachlan Croker is the player I referenced before. I know he's probably sitting there watching this show going, "Oh, no, they're going to attack me." I don't know how he's playing first grade. I think this is a long time overdue. Jason Saab, I don't think he's been their issue. He made a great break the other night and turned inside looking for Turbo, who was 30 metres behind him. So, I know I'm nitpicking a little bit, but I don't know if he was to blame. Toff Sipley's been dropped back. He was playing New South Wales Cup. He's a fringe reserve grade forward, let's be honest. Can't even remember who the fourth one is. But not Bullymore, the other bloke. Who cares? They're a reserve grade team playing first grade at the moment. They got 2 halves who are either disinterested or not up to it. Choose which one's which. I don't particularly care. They got a fullback that can hardly move that needs to go to centres. They got 2 superstars in Kohler, and look, I'll add 3, and Garrick and Hopewadi. They need to work out how to work those best. What they need to do is go to Anthony Seibold and say, how we're going to fix this? Bend over and boot him as far up Pittwater Road as you can. He's got to go.
I wouldn't do that just yet. Hear me out, and I'm not trolling Manly fans for this, but he actually needs to embed this change of Tom Trbojevic in the centres, and he needs to get Ruben Garrick to realise that, like Zach Lomax, whilst you are a good centre, you are a great winger. This guy scored 20 tries and kicked 9 million goals on the wing when all he had to do was think about catching the ball, falling over the line, and nothing else. Let Anthony, this season's tanked, right? Don't pay him out the 6 months yet. Let him embed Turbo into the centre, so the next coach that comes in, his first move isn't to upset the apple cart and put Turbo in the centres. Let this happen 3, 4, 5, 6 games and see the results. He's going to look like a genius if they win 5 out of 6 games. So I wouldn't. If I'm the Manly board, I'm holding back on the sacking of him until that's embedded. And then once it's embedded, if it's still 3-3 or their season's done or they're plummeting towards a wooden spoon, but Turbo's embedded in the centres, then you go and sack him and bring someone in who will keep that philosophy. And that would be the first thing in the job interview. The first question would be, Tom Trbojevic has re-signed with us, and the stipulation is that he's only to play centre. And even if our number one fullback, who is Lehigh Hopewadi, if the future is down, Kohler is the next fullback. And then if he's down, Jake Trbojevic before Tom Trbojevic.
I agree. The name that's been bandied up as the next Manly coach is Michael Ennis.
Hey, look, if it gets him off Fox commentary, I'm all for it. In saying that, although Michael Ennis sounds like a goofball when he talks, if you actually sit down and just talk pure footy with him, he really, really like knows his stuff. So I don't mind that. But again, and I'm all for like new blood of coaches coming in. You're not seeing the same like we made the joke about the Premier League about your Sam Allardyces and your Alan Pardew's and your Roy Hodgsons and all that, Tony Poulos and all those guys getting gigs. So these new coaches coming in, maybe Michael Ennis is the spark for Manly. Who knows? He's there at the moment. And I think it takes even more pressure off him that his sons have signed long-term deals at other clubs. So he can just go to Manly and focus on that.
Yep, I completely agree. I don't think it's a bad move. We'll see how it goes in the next couple of weeks.
Mhm.
But if they don't play finals football, I think he's gone. I think Ennis will come in next year. But speaking of next year, Terry, we've had news that the South Sydney Rabbitohs have re-signed 2 players for 1 year. Alex Johnston, which I think, was always going to happen.
Mhm.
The second one is Cody Walker, who, does that say how terrible their backup plan is? Because if Cody Walker, who, I can't even tell you how many games he's played, let alone played well, is their answer next year, do they have another answer behind him?
I think South Sydney have got their eyes on someone for 2027 and will just use Cody Walker as a stopgap. Now, who that player is, I don't know, but that's the only reason that I can think that you would re-sign Cody Walker to that deal is because they're probably sitting there thinking we're going to have a ton of money and they will have a lot of money for 2027 and they've got their eyes on somebody to go in there, but also they're going to be fighting with the Bears as well. So
Mm.
I love the AJ re-signing. They're going to keep giving him 1 year deals until he breaks that record. Let's hope it's not a few more years because this guy absolutely deserves to break the record and then go and earn some cash in the Super League. But yeah, I think South Sydney will have a plot and ploy as to there is a player whether it's a junior or someone
A
established is
recruit.
what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I think they've got a plan.
They better,
Yeah.
because I don't like their current one. Now, Lewis Dodd's sitting in reserve grade on more than $500,000. I think they've got to move him back to England ASAP if they'll take him at this stage. And I think Jamie Humphries is a very, very good option at 7 or 9, wherever he fits in. He's going to play lots of first grade. Alex Johnson, 100% worth it. He may break the record this year. He only needs 10 or 12 tries, whatever it is. There's 10-ish games to go. It might be 8. He's a chance. Walker, though, I don't know. He's a club legend. He's done it all. He's played Origin. He ain't very good right now, and he's injury prone. Maybe obviously they see something I don't. So hopefully it works out for them because I don't like seeing players, especially at the back end of their career, break down. But one that you're not going to like, mate, and I'm going to make the statement so you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that Harry Grant
Mm-hmm.
is, first of all, the greatest hooker in the competition.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his standing in the game is being held back by the fact that they're talking about running Kurt Mann out to start an Origin because he can't start Origin football games. Do you think that's fair, or am I nitpicking for an agenda?
No, because they used to name Ben Hunt in the 14 and start him. Yeah, so I definitely think that there is something about Harry Grant starting Origin games that Queensland don't like and that he doesn't like either.
Yeah. Do
Sure.
you think that hurts his standing as the best hooker in the game? Best
Uh,
hooker should be able to play 80 in Origin.
no, because even still, Appy Coruscant at one time was the best hooker in the competition. He was only playing 40, 45, 50 minutes in an Origin game. I don't know. I think the standard, like you see in club games, are so much different to Origin. Like Origin, the physicality, the aggression, like it's an 8 meter instead of a 10 meter offside line. You can smash someone in the face, and in a club game you'd be simbin, and in Origin you high five for it. Unless it's a blatant one like Suoliti, but. Like, the rules are different for Origin, the physicality is different, the game plan is different. Like, Origin is a thug's gladiator battle, and Harry Grant at Melbourne, more often than not, is having 60% possession running downhill in a team that's scoring 30 to 40 points a game. Whereas in Origin, it's a completely different battle. You've got a softening up phase, and you've got the open where the big boys are getting gassed. You're Payne Haas, he's 6'4" and 120 kilos. And yes, Payne Haas can go for days, but somewhere along the line he needs a breather, and someone like Harry Grant coming off the bench can take that zip out of him. And I think the good thing about Kurt Mann is that he could start playing number 9 and then just slot into the number 13 role, a la what Ben Hunt used to do. But yeah, I don't think it hurts his standing the same way I don't think it hurts Nathan Cleary's standing that he hasn't got a standout Origin performance to his name.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely fair. I have no doubt, and I want to reiterate, Harry Grant's the best hooker in the game. I don't. There's 3 or 4 that could be number 2, but for me, there's only one number 1.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm picking a team with my life on the line, Harry Grant's my number 9. I agree, though. I think Kurt Mann taking the sting out of the game and making 15 tackles in that opening 20 minutes allows Grant to come on and do his stuff. The speed of the game is never been quicker, like other than the PVL years, but that's out for very good reason. I think they need to figure out how to best use Harry Grant and work to that rather than stick to he's the best, so he needs to start, because New South Wales is just going to run at him, knowing that if you gas him out, there's nothing left to give. They'll be running at the halves as well. That's what they did to Cherry Evans in game 1. I think if Queensland get on the front foot and have a bit of ball at the 13th minute, I think you might see Harry Grant sort of just appear out of nowhere, and hopefully there's a trainer yelling, "Harry's on, Harry's on." But I think they need to get him right, because there's no one in New South Wales or rugby league that can do what Harry Grant can when he's running downhill. I think they need to get him there. I brought this up as a bit of a stab. For the record, I don't believe it does at all. And I'm glad you brought up Nathan Cleary, because I had him here too.
All I will say with the Harry Grant thing is the risk that you run is that when you bring him into the game, you're down 12-0.
Yeah, but the best hooker should be able to get you into the game. I was going to bring up here too that the Penrith Panthers halves, or former Panther halves, whatever, 4 premierships, not a great run in Origin. Both have won, with Moses and Reynolds and other players. Haven't really won together. If they somehow bottle this game 2 and God help us, game 3, I think that definitely hurts Nathan Cleary's standing in the game.
Yeah, it hurts Nathan Cleary, and it pushes Mitchell Moses' right up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it pushes Moses up and it pushes them 2 down. This is the unlosable series. Let's face it, this one is the unlosable series. Like, no one in their right mind north of the border will tell you that they think they can come back and win the next 2 games.
Well,
and like the 3rd game's in New South Wales.
It is. Every part of me wants to agree with you, bro. Just can't put it on camera.
Like, this is 3-0.
Look, it should be. Let's leave it. It should be 3-0.
This is PSG in the Champions League final. This is dominant.
Yep. We'll see. We'll see tonight. Let's best of luck to my boys in blue. Let's move on to something a little bit more serious. The Bunnies have got buyer's remorse for their new, however many year Accor Stadium deal, and wanted to go back to Allianz. And yesterday, by the time this drops, the New South Wales government has come out and said, "Nah, you got to honour the agreement," saying that they can play a couple of games at Allianz Stadium moving forward. First of all, thoughts on that?
Don't care.
I have 2. One, they signed a contract and they should honour it. But 2, New South Wales government did make it very clear that they were going to redo Accor Stadium. And right now, it looks good. It's huge, but it's the worst stadium in the world. Let's be honest. It sucks to watch football at, except when you get 45,000 plus. Then it's pretty darn good. South Sydney shouldn't be playing in Western Sydney. Whoever signed this contract should be strung up and flicked to Perth and left there. I think New South Wales government done them dirty here, saying, "Yeah, we'll do this, sign the contract," and then they go, "Ha, changed our mind." Chris Mims, if you're watching, call me. We need to talk.
Yeah, you and I went to a game against the Dogs when they weren't real good. It was like a Saturday night, 5:30 or 5:30 game, and it was pissing down rain, and there was like 8,000 people at this ground. And then when you go home and watch a replay, it just looked like they were playing in COVID.
It was a COVID effect.
And the minute the rain, because the rain bucketed down, you remember the game I'm talking about. We won.
Yeah. We scurried, yeah.
Yeah. And everyone went up out of the front row, back under the shelter, and it looked dreadful.
It did.
And so, like, it's it's great having these big stadiums, but you can't play regular footy out of it. Like even so, like Combank, right? I'm in love with Combank Stadium. You and I went there. The Jets won the first ever grand final there. But when you get 10,000 people there, it looks stupid.
It does.
You know, you take 10,000 people at a core, and everyone turns around and goes, "Oh, it looks crap." You take 9,000 people at Thursday night at Shark Park, it looked like a full house.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Exactly my argument against the big stadiums. But the serious reason I put this on here is that the Bunnies and the Roosters have no doubt had one of the best rivalries for a lot of years, right?
Mhm.
For mine, it's almost completely dead because neither team are overly relevant right now. And they go on about hating each other, and everyone's like, shut up, you two.
Yeah. I mean, the best rivalry in rugby league at the moment is West Tigers against the referees and the Eels versus the Bulldogs. No one cares about South and East. No one cares about the Sutherland Shire local derby anymore. Like, just get over it. If your biggest rivalry is where you play footy at, it's not a rivalry anymore.
I exactly agree, and that seems to be what it is. But, oh well, we'll see him in a couple of years. There was that game a couple of years ago that was real spiteful, but since, who cares? Moving on to one, I want to take a shot here, Terry, because it's my platform and that's what I'll do. Coaches aren't taking risks. Now, we saw Teamless Tuesday, again, yesterday. Cronulla, Craig Fitzgibbon has named a copy and paste team, minus changes he had to make. Man, they've been calling for changes for months and months and months. Shane Flanagan flatly refuses to, drop his son. That's another argument for another day. A lot of these coaches, mate, are there cap issues we don't know about, perhaps, which we'll discuss more on Fins Up about the Sharks? Do you think coaches are just like, nah, I'm going to stick my experienced players out there. I'm going to run my Mawini Hirottis and my Tyrell Sloans rather than take a gamble on a young kid that's blowing flag up or doing exceedingly well in New South Wales Cup? Or do you think they're just cowards, Tim?
Right. Let's take a shot at St George Illawarra here because a lot of their fans are turning around saying, "Oh, if we had competent wingers, we would have beat Cronulla." Brother, Hot Tamale down at Canberra. He's a local junior at St George. Jason Saab, he's a local junior at St George. Ruben Garrick, he's a local junior at St George. Jack Bostock, he's a local junior at St George. You had these wingers, right? That's not Flanagan's fault because you got rid of them before he got there. It's not Flanagan's fault. What I think when you start seeing a coach under pressure, right? When you start seeing a coach under pressure, if he just turns around and throws a gamble out there and throws 6 debutants and blows everything up, that's his way of saying it's over. That's just his way of going, I've got no more ideas, sack me, right? When you take it to the other side of Craig Fitzgibbon, what you're talking about, and we don't know if there are cap issues, and just before we went online, a few people were in my messages asking me if the rumour's true that Chris Vaiella is actually going to be named on the bench this week instead of Daniel Atkinson. So there is talk going around that Vaiella may get his debut. He just won't start the game because they want Talakai to take the initial brunt against Katoni Staggs. Again, I don't like that, though. If you're going to give him his debut, give him his debut. They probably just got scars of Ronaldo Mulatalo. But I think when you've got a coach like Craig Fitzgibbon who should have and does have a top 4 squad, he has to get the most out of his top 4 squad. Regardless of people like you and I who want Hohepapuru or Chris Vaiella, we don't get that. Craig Fitzgibbon has got his squad that he likes. A few injuries aside, like, you know, you don't ever want to play Mawini Hiroti over Kale Iro, but we have to do that at the moment because Iro's injured. So when you've got that, he's got a top 4 squad. He is fighting to keep himself in the finals with a bit of a tough run coming up. He can't afford to blow it up. Likewise, you've got coaches like Des Hasler, Shane Flanagan, Adam O'Brien, who are 2 or 3 bad losses away from getting the arse. They can't blow it up because they need their best squad out there to win them games to keep it going. So I think it's a bit of a catch-22 for the coaches, and it's when they know on a Thursday or on a Tuesday afternoon that there's going to be a board meeting next Monday. Hell, name the Jersey flag team. Let them run wild and free. But I just think like there's a lot more to it of coaches just going, oh yeah, pick him, he'll do, he looks all right. He kicked a goal from the sideline this week. There's a lot more to it.
So, yes, I agree. I just think there is a reluctance across the competition to give these kids a go. Now, no one's ever started without making a debut. Like, it just, you have to do that first.
Do
And
you
there's
know the
always
one coach who we used to criticize? Sorry for cutting you off. The one coach that we used to criticize for not taking risks seems to be the biggest risk taker at the moment. That's Ricky Stewart.
well, yeah, he's naming a whole heap of kids. He's moving them to positions of power and look, it's working. That backs me up exactly right. I just think that these coaches are like, I've got to keep naming the same team. I've got to build this. Okay, that's cool. And I'm not calling for 6 debutants as you joked about. I'm talking about like, okay, so in New South Wales Cup, Lachlan Ilias has had like 8 try assists in the last couple of weeks, right? Don't get me wrong. It's New South Wales Cup. He hasn't had a great career. But right now, Kyle Flanagan is probably a bottom 3 half in the competition. One of the others is standing next to him. He's a kid. You can put the kid back and bring Ilias up and say, hey, look, you've had a stint. Go back and get your form back and we'll bring you back towards the end of the year. Or you can say to Flanagan, look, you're not it. Back you go, put the 2 kids, and then you go to your fans and your board and say, look, we're putting a new halves combination in. We've got Dan Atkinson coming in. These 2 are auditioning for a spot next to him next year. I think it buys more time because right now, Dragons fans, Tyrell Sloan shouldn't play first. He shouldn't play in the wing. He's a fullback or nothing. That is simply put. I don't know how good their wing stocks are because Tuipulotu just can't stay fit, unfortunately, and he's been blowing the house down. They celebrate scoring a mile of trials. So you can't help injuries, but at a point you've got to look, and using Cronulla as an example, you've got a young kid, Chris Viella, who should have 5 to 10 games to his name by now. Shouldn't be thrown in against Brisbane to mark Katoni Staggs on the debut because he should have 5 games. I just think coaches need to take the chance when they can to get players ingrained, to put them out here. Because you want to go into the finals with a squad of 20 blokes that can play first grade, not 15 or 17, and 3 guys that can play if, 96 things go wrong. So I just think across the board, we're just not seeing take risks on these young players. And with the Bears looking over going, we got 17 first grade spots guaranteed. You're going to see your Hohepapurus and your Chris Viellas and your winger I was talking about before at the Dragons. Say, cool, we'll go over there. I want to see some risks take. I'm bored, Terry. I'm bored.
But yeah, and you're seeing it with the Dolphins, right? They signed the Bostocks. They signed the Isaiah Katoas. They signed the Ray Stones, who, yes, he was playing for Parramatta, but not regularly. They signed those types of players, and I think that's that's one of the great things about expansion. We turn around and go, there's not really enough depth in New South Wales Cup, but here's you and I rattling off 10 to 12 players across 4 squads who could make a first grade debut. So maybe there is enough, but we're just not seeing it. Again, I'm with you. I love a debut and I love a try on debut. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing better than a try on debut, but you're looking at coaches that are on either end of the spectrum. One, yeah, I think there's a time and a place to take risks.
Perfect. Now on to something that I don't know if you've seen, but I had to reread it before because I thought it was an absolute stitch-up. The ARL Commission has sent an email to all the clubs and said that the match review committee can make their decision and we can go in and overrule them. If they think the committee has been too harsh, they can take the penalty down. If they don't believe it's harsh enough, they can drag him in, put a case forward, and put it up. What's the point of the commission if the ARL are going to do what they're going to do anyways?
I think some of rereading the press release, I think they're talking about some things that aren't seen on the field that they want to go back and penalise. And that's that is the match review committee, in the 79th minute or, the 39th minute when Braden Trindle shoulder charged Kyle Flanagan, you just vaguely heard that, you're being put on report, right? But there are some times where you and I have been on here going, well, that high shot probably deserved 5 weeks instead of 3. Mm-hmm. Or, this bloke's a serial offender. They need to make a statement of him. And then the whole thing with Jacob Preston happened and everyone lost their mind. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. No one's going to be happy with it. There are some tackles this year where you've looked at it and gone, he could be sat down for a couple of weeks and nothing's happened. And then there's some tackles that you go, that's soft as puppy shit, and they're looking at 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So I don't know what the correct answer is for this. Like Jake Turpin, for example, left his feet, shoulder charged someone in the face and copped $1,000 fine.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know how you fix it.
No, me neither. And I like them having taken a risk, so I'm not giving them grief for that. My concern in this is right now the Bulldogs are seen as the golden child, right?
Uh-huh.
Say Turpin cops 2 weeks,
Uh-huh.
and the NRL go in and go, no, that doesn't fit with what's happened recently. We're reducing it to 1 week. Everyone blows up that the NRL or the ARL Commission rather is, picking their favourites. Or the reverse. Turpin goes in, cops $1,000 fine. ARL says that's 2 weeks. And all the Bulldogs fans go, well, the match review committee that is set up for this exact reason said this, and you're overruling it. You're attacking us. There is no way in the world that they interject and this works. You're 100% right. We've sat here before and said that should be 5 to 6 weeks, and we've seen 2. The bite, that should be 10 to 12 weeks, and it gets 2 or 4 or whatever. That's what I think this is there for the ARL to go, no, we want to send a message, that's 8 weeks.
So, but I mean, like the ARL are turning around and saying, oh, we want to send a message, we want to send a message. If you wanted to send a message, you should have suspended Ezra Mann for a whole season. So no one's going to be happy with your ruling when that's the first thing they're going to turn back and say.
Yeah, and that wasn't the match review committee thing. That was the ARL Commission.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why they're doing this. The club, it's gone down like a lead balloon. Like, all the clubs are like, what are you talking about? Because I guarantee you the second, doesn't matter what circumstance, doesn't matter what club, that club is going to be the Clive victim, and the one that benefits is going to be the golden child that week. It is just dumb.
I'm with you. It's dumb. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by the best people at Zero Tackle, your one-stop shop for everything rugby league. You've got player news, movements, contracts, up to date with all the news, the 20 thoughts, the power rankings that never make sense, a couple of page turners from Dan. What do you got for us this week, mate? We're going to have an Origin review, preview, whatever it is.
No, I straight up don't care about Origin. Don't care at all. What we are going to get is we're going to get 5 statements that I'm making now that I would not have said in the preseason. Keep an eye out for that because I think it's going to annoy
What's that? Canberra are really good because you had them like third last?